There is something certain people feel the moment real love finally arrives, and almost nobody says it out loud. It isn't relief. It isn't the warm exhale everyone promised. When the right person finally stays, finally chooses them, finally offers the steady thing they always claimed to want, something inside them goes quiet and cold. They tell everyone they're fine. They smile. And underneath the smile, an alarm is already going off, scanning the room for the exit. Psychology has a name for this kind of person. The label is avoidant attachment, a pattern where closeness triggers retreat instead of comfort. But the label hides the strangest part, because this looks like someone who doesn't want love. It's actually someone whose body decided a long time ago that love is the most dangerous thing in the room. If you've ever felt yourself pull away from someone because they were good to you, steady, warm, available, this is about you. 5 things happen inside a person like this when love finally lands. They happen almost in order, and the last one is the cruelest. It's the reason they walk out at the exact moment they should be staying. We'll get there. It starts in the body before a single thought forms. The right person sends a message that just says they're thinking of you. Something good. And instead of warmth spreading through your chest, your shoulders climb toward your ears. A small flinch you can't explain. Stephen Porges called this neuroception, the way your nervous system scans for safety or threat without asking your permission first. For most people, gentleness reads as safe. For you, it was filed under threat so long ago that kindness now sets off the same wiring a footstep on the stairs once did. The softer they are, the louder the alarm. So the first thing love does when it finally arrives is feel like danger. What happens next looks like logic. It's actually escape. Suddenly you start noticing things. The way they chew. A text that took 2 hours to reply to. The fact that they're a little too into you. And isn't that a red flag? John Bowlby, who built attachment theory from the ground up, described what researchers later called deactivating strategies. The mind's trick of turning down the volume on its own need for closeness. You don't experience it as fear. You experience it as a sudden, crystal-clear list of reasons this person isn't right. The list always arrives right after they get close. That's not a coincidence. That's the system working exactly as designed. And the cruelty of it is that the list always feels true. Here's the part that quietly breaks people. When someone loves you consistently, shows up the same way Monday and Thursday, doesn't run hot and cold, doesn't punish you with silence, it doesn't feel like love. It feels suspicious. Bowlby's term for this was the internal working model, the blueprint for relationships your brain drew before you were old enough to read. If the love you knew first came with conditions, with distance, with a door that closed when you reached for it, then steady, unconditional warmth doesn't match the blueprint. And anything that doesn't match the blueprint gets read as fake. So you wait for the catch. You wait for the version of them that finally turns. And while you're waiting, you can't actually let any of it in. If this is naming something you've carried your whole life without words for it, subscribe. This is what we do here, every week. We put language to the things your body already knows. Because what comes next is the part most people mistake for honesty. At some point, you test them. Not on purpose. You'd never call it that. But you pick the small fight at 11 at night. You go quiet for a day to see if they chase. You say the slightly cold thing and watch their face for the flicker that proves they were always going to leave. You are running an experiment, and the experiment has only one acceptable result: confirmation that they'll go. Because if they go, you were right. And being right feels safer than being held. The tragedy is how often a good person passes the test, stays warm, and it terrifies you more than failing would have. You weren't testing whether they'd stay, you were testing whether it was safe to need them, and you already decided the answer years ago. Which brings us to the last one, the cruelest one. The closer it gets to real, the more it starts to look like the thing you actually wanted, the more unbearable it becomes. So you end it, right at the peak, right when they've earned your trust and you can feel yourself starting to soften. You push back the chair. You make the speech about how it's not working, how you need space, how maybe you're just not built for this. And you walk out into the cold air feeling, for the first time in weeks, like you can breathe, because you finally control the one thing you were always braced for. If the leaving is going to happen, at least this time your hand was on the door. You didn't lose love. You evicted it before it could lose you. Here's what's actually happening underneath all five. You're not protecting yourself from love, you're protecting yourself from grief, because to let it in, to really feel someone stay, is to finally feel the size of every year you went without it. The reaching that got met with a closed door, the love you trained yourself not to need until the not needing felt like a personality. Accepting love now would mean admitting how much its absence actually cost. So you refuse the proof. You'd rather call love a trap than call the past a wound. That's the whole thing. The coldness was never about not wanting it. It was about not surviving the wanting. So if your shoulders are up by your ears every time someone is gentle with you, you are not broken and you are not cold. You are a person whose alarm system learned its lesson too well in a house where it had to. You are not the only one standing in the doorway, hand on the handle, terrified of a room that's finally safe. There are more of us out here than you'd ever guess. You don't have to fix all of it at once. You can start with one thing. The next time the alarm goes off around someone kind, name it instead of obeying it. That's the old wiring, not the truth. You can let the warmth in for 10 more seconds than felt safe, and you can stop mistaking the exit for freedom. It was only ever the first door anyone showed you. Which of these 5 did you feel in your own body? The flinch? The list? The waiting? The test? The leaving? Drop the number below. And if you want to tell me which one, I'm reading every comment. If there's someone in your life who keeps walking away right when things get good, send them this. It might be the first time anyone's explained them to them. If this gave you language for something you've always felt but couldn't name, subscribe. We translate what your body already knows into language your mind can finally use. We do this every week.